Welcome into the High School OT postgame show presented by Alpaca Peruvian Chicken State Championship Edition here from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Lawrence Joel Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Evan Moesta here alongside Joel Bryant. We're breaking down day number 2, Thursday action. The 2A and the 6A state championships were crowned tonight. Let's start, Joel. It was an exciting day, but they saved the best for last. Let's start right there. Let's start the 6A boys state championship. It was Northern Nash defeating Kings Mountain 61-60 in overtime. Neither side really fell behind. I think the largest lead for either team was, 7 or 8 points throughout the night, and it felt like every time somebody got up multiple possessions, the opposition would respond back with a 6, 7, 8 point run. And they were just duking it out all the way until the end, and that's when Jameer Harris had 4 points in the final 25 seconds of the game to win it for Northern Nash, their first state title since 1968. Joel, we've had 3 really good finishes here in our first 8 state championships over the last 2 days.
Yeah, and we kind of knew yesterday that these 6A games are going to be kind of hard to figure out, right? We'll get into the girls later, but that was a close game for most of the game, and this one, of course, is just back and forth the whole way. We go to overtime. Northern Nash had a chance to win at the end of regulation, and they were able to hold the ball for just about the whole final minute. Didn't get a really good shot off, but they get.
I thought it was a good look. They just, you get a 3, maybe you want to take.
I thought it was kind of rushed.
Yeah.
But they do, of course, get redemption in overtime. They executed the end of game situation pretty well. Jameer Harris with that nice layup, and then there was another steal by Odom. Odom had the steal, and then he kind of pitched ahead to Harris for another layup there to make it a 4-point game. Really exciting finish. You could just feel the elation of the Northern Nash crowd when that game finally goes final. They've been waiting a long time for this one.
Yeah, a big win there. You're happy for Coach Henry Drake. He was so emotional after the regional final, just knowing that he got to this game. And so to not only get here, but then win it, it's good when you see coaches who have put in, that much time and effort and love to their program get rewarded with a state title the way Northern Nash had it tonight. On the other side, it's Kings Mountain who falls. They were the 12th seed. They were kind of the Cinderella team throughout all of this, and sure enough, they still have a chance there at the end to come away with the state championship. And Joel, I think an interesting kind of side note to all of this, one of the heroes of this state championship run for the Mountaineers was Caleb Nixon. He gets kind of banged up in the first quarter, lands awkwardly on his knee or on his leg. He twists his knee or something along those lines, grabs it. Everybody kind of gasps, and they carry him off the floor in the first quarter, and he comes back second half with the knee wrapped up and didn't get back into the game after that injury. That's a big missing piece for the Mountaineers, but I also thought Ethan Daniel in his place stepped up, made a ton of big buckets for Kings Mountain.
Yeah, Caleb Nixon's their leading scorer. He averaged 20 points a game. And from what I gather, he's been kind of dealing with this knee thing for a little bit now. And so that was something that, is kind of like a time bomb, I guess, if something happened to that knee. Obviously, they were able to withstand him being out of the game for pretty much, it was mostly the entire game. That was a really early injury.
Yep.
And still
he only played 2 minutes off the bench.
Yeah. And to still be able to take Northern Nash to overtime, very impressive. What they've done this whole run, very impressive. We talked about kind of the 5 games they played in 9 games to get here, and they knocked off the 5 seed, the 4 seed, the 2 seed, and the 1 seed. The only seed they didn't beat was the 3 seed, which they couldn't because it was on the other side of the bracket. I can't say enough about that team, and only 1 senior on that team. So that's a group that we're going to be talking about next year, certainly in the 6A title contention.
Yeah, Ethan Daniel and Micah Daniel, great performances tonight, a junior and a sophomore for Kings Mountain. Ethan Daniel, 3 of 5 field goal, 22 points. He's the most outstanding player in the West in this one. And then Micah Daniel, the sophomore, who is just such a dominating force inside to be a sophomore. He rebounds the ball well. He scores it well. I thought going up against Chris Silver at Northern Nash was a little bit of a challenge for, Daniel tonight, but he still finishes 16 points, 10 boards in this one, 4 assists as well. But Ethan Daniel, Joel, he hits that three there in overtime. It pushes Kings Mountain ahead. But,
Yeah.
you really have to give Northern Nash credit. They just never backed down when they got down in this game. They were down 7 after the first quarter. And, J. Mike Blake, who was covering these games for us, he kind of told us he could hear Coach Drake kind of getting at his guys down 7 after 1. What do? They come out second quarter and they go on an 8-0 run to start and grab the lead. And I just think that kind of
Yeah.
shows, A, how much they take to what Coach Drake's telling them, but B, just kind of how pinpoint they were in not backing down tonight.
Yeah, I have so much positive to say about Northern Nash. Going back to that Nixon injury, that kind of thing could be detrimental to the other team in the sense of like, gosh, how is this team still hanging around when they don't have their best guy? So when Daniel makes that three in overtime, that easily could have been a moment where Northern Nash just like, oh my gosh, like how are we losing to this team? They don't have their best player, and it kind of unravels. We've seen that happen before. That kind of thing happened before, and they just stayed the course. And just a general shout out to this team. They had the number one player in the country on this team just last year. CJ Rosser, he did pretty well for them his first couple of seasons playing. He transfers to an out-of-state school in the offseason, and I can tell that the players definitely had a lot of feedback from maybe other teams or maybe people in the community saying that, hey, without CJ Rosser, the 5-star, you're not going to be able to do anything special this year. And they did. Coach tried kind of downplaying it the past couple of weeks in the presser, but it has to have an effect on the kid when you have a 5-star player who leaves you and still able to win a state championship without him. I just can't say enough about it.
Again, the 6A boys state championship tonight just went final. Northern Nash picks up an overtime victory against Kings Mountain 61-60. Let's switch over to the 2A girls. That was the game prior to that. For the third straight year, we're sitting here talking about the Cherokee Lady Braves taking home a state title. Every year it feels like they've gotten better than the previous one. This is the largest margin of victory in any girls basketball state championship game ever. The Lady Braves run away with this one. The final score, let me make sure I read this to you correctly. It's 76-15. Cherokee got up 33-4 after 1. Pamlico County, 7 points in the second quarter, 0 in the third, and 4 in the fourth.
Yeah.
The Lady Braves came out, punched early, punched often, and for the third straight year, they're hoisting the 2A, or they're hoisting a state championship. Last 2 years had been in 1A. Now they get the 2A crown.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize that Pamlico County team was really good. They were the 1 seed in the 2A East. J. Mike told me during the game they beat everybody in the 2A East by at least 19 getting here, and that 19 was to Gates County. So it just, you can't even put into words how dominant Cherokee is. Just the whole thing is just so intimidating. I think they get the big crowd here. The girls come out, they run so fast. In the blink of an eye, they're up 10-0. There's a timeout called, and the crowd's already doing the wave because it just felt like the game was over when it was 10-0. That's just how good these girls are. Madison Rogers, 18 points in the first quarter.
Yeah,
finishes with 25. When you have special star players like that who can just fill it up in one quarter that quickly, it's just such a hard team to beat. And a special shout out to Jediah Swimmer, the senior, one of the few seniors on this team, her last ever girls basketball game. What a remarkable athlete. She's kind of like the Deontay Neal equivalent in girls sports.
Seriously.
For anyone that doesn't know who she is, she plays, I think they say she plays 5 sports.
Yep.
I actually first met her when she won a cross country championship. I was doing the cross country one year, and I didn't really understand who the girl was at the time.
She's a great distance runner.
Yeah, really good distance runner, but she's just an incredible player. She really set the tempo for them all 4 years. So that they're going to miss her next year. But the team's unbelievable.
Yeah, Jediah Swimmer heading off to Hawaii, where she will participate with their track and field program. And as Joel said, Madison Rogers, 25 points tonight. She takes home most valuable player honors for the Cherokee Lady Braves. But back to Joel's point about how dominant they were defensively, the turnovers in this one, Pamlico County, 27 turnovers to Cherokee 6. Cherokee scores 33 points off of those 27 turnovers. The 6 turnovers that the Lady Braves had converted into no points for Pamlico County. And their 2 leading scorers, Nia Clark and Sydney Whitley Reese, they combined for 10 points tonight on, hear me out here, 3 of 31 shooting, 0 for 11. And Nia Clark is one of the best players in the eastern half of the state, especially in the 2A rank. She goes 1 of 16 from the field, 0 of 8 from 3. It just shows how hard it was to get up a shot against Cherokee. Also want to add Jocelyn Stamper for the Lady Braves tonight. 15 points, 10 rebounds, another double-double. She's been really good consistently over the years in this game specifically. It feels like, Cherokee the last 2 years has been on the ropes in the regional final against Bishop McGuinness, but when they get to this game, they are so laser focused on the task at hand. And today it results in a 61-point victory.
Yeah, Jocelyn Stamper is a player that we could be seeing in the girls' tournament in a couple or a few years from now. She's that good, and she's a Division I level player. And yeah, it's one thing the style of play that they have, and the other thing is that they're just purely talented players on the offensive end. Some of these girls just can really shoot the ball. It's absolutely crazy. I feel for Pamlico. It's such a hard team to play. And, Evan, I think there's going to be a tough debate for where Cherokee lands in the final top 25 rankings. I think you could make an argument for them being number 1 team in the state, I think. But of course, we'll have that.
They're 1 or 2. I mean, J. Mike came out in the beginning of the summer and said it's the best public school basketball team in the state of North Carolina, regardless of classification. And I think some people were taken back by that, especially in the 7A and the 8A levels. But they beat 7A regional runner-up and defending state champion Lake Norman this year. They just ran through the public school slate. The real argument just becomes Cherokee versus Grace Christian. Grace obviously has won, I think, 4 or 5 state championships in a row at the NCHSAA level. Cherokee has won 3 in a row at the NCHSAA level.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. I think Cherokee's deeper than that.
They play similar styles. I think you could almost personnel-wise go player for player, and you can put, Stamper in English, and, you can go down the line and go Rogers and Jackson, and you can go Cooper Cox and Dadiah Swimmer. And I think you could go, I think the impressive thing about Cherokee is when they hit you in waves in terms of their depth, there's not much of a drop off. You're so worn down by the starting 5 that when that next group comes in, you're trying to catch wind, and they're coming at you with the same amount of defensive pressure that the starters came. So, yeah, it'll definitely be a debate that we're going to have over here over the next couple weeks as we sort through rankings. But again, Cherokee, a huge win tonight in the 2A Girls State Championship. It is a 76-15 victory over Pamlico County. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll break down the 6A Girls State Championship between Northern Guilford and Terry Sanford, and then we'll break down the 2A Boys, which was Queens Grant and Warren County. You're watching the High School OT postgame show, State Championship Edition, presented by Alpaca Peruvian Chicken.
Are you craving chicken? Download the Alpaca Peruvian Chicken app to gain access to exclusive offers and earn rewards by eating the food that you love. New members who sign up will receive a free entree. Again, that's the Alpaca Peruvian Chicken app. Taste their legendary flavor and homemade pride at 18 locations across the Triangle, Fayetteville, Mebane, Wilmington, Sanford, and now Wilson. You can visit them online at alpacachicken.com and catch the Alpaca Chicken Game of the Week on HighSchoolOT.com.
Get the Triangle sports leader anytime, anywhere with the new app from 99.9 The Fan. If it's live on The Fan, you can listen on the app. Plus, all your favorite podcasts at your fingertips. Download the 99.9 The Fan app today.
Raising kids is a roller coaster. Sometimes you laugh, sometimes you cry. But most times you wonder how your kid turned out so well. That's how. You did the hard work, made the right decisions, like talking about alcohol before it could be a problem. Go to talkitoutnc.org. Get resources on how to talk about underage drinking. So Mom, Dad, keep up the good work. It's worth it. Talk early. Talk often. Talk it out, NC.
High School OT postgame show presented by Alpaca Peruvian Chicken, State Championship Edition here from Lawrence Joel Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Winston-Salem, Evan Moesta, alongside Joel Bryant. Let's get to the first 2 games that we had this afternoon. Let's start with the 2:30 game. That was the 6A girls final, where Northern Guilford, for the 3rd time in school history, takes home a crown. They defeat Terry Sanford 62-52. Terry Sanford held a lead for, it was a close, tightly contested game back and forth, but Terry Sanford held a lead in the final moments of the third quarter. And then Lena McField scores 4 straight points, one to tie, a basket to tie, and then a basket at the buzzer to send the Nighthawks into the fourth quarter up 2. And those 2 baskets end up sparking a 17-4 run that helps Northern Guilford come away with the 10-point victory and the state championship. I think we knew this was going to be a good game, Joel. If there were toss-ups out there, this was going to be one of them. Now, I will say, foolishly, and I think we let this one slip through the cracks because this game was way too good. But when we made our picks at the beginning of the week, all of us picked Terry Sanford, and then maybe 2-3 minutes into the game, you and I looked at each other and said, we look back at our picks like, oh, who did we pick for this game? We're like, oh, we all picked Terry Sanford.
Yeah. In our defense, we all thought we all thought it was like a close margin, right? Like no one picked Terry Sanford as their most confident.
Yeah.
We were all kind of like on the fence. And just
if I was to give you a score guess for that game, it would have been a 1-2 possession game.
Yeah, so, but kind of deja vu for Terry Sanford. Same kind of vibes as last year when they were here, and things just kind of I think the word for it is just kind of evaporated, right? Like the energy just kind of disappears when they stop making shots. There just weren't enough plays, kind of marginal plays to make up the difference when the shots weren't falling in the fourth quarter. And that's really where the game was won and lost. I mean, Northern Guilford wins fourth quarter 19-11. And I think you were right. I think Terry Sanford was I would say they were leading this game for you probably put it about like 70% of the game, but it was never a big lead, right? So they were just kind of like holding on to that small lead throughout the game. And then Northern Guilford just had it in the fourth quarter. They were making their shots. And like I said, Terry Sanford, when their shots weren't falling, it just felt like the air was just out of the room for them, and they just couldn't find enough energy to fight back and pull this one off.
They were looking around for somebody to be the hero, and the person they were looking at was looking at somebody else to be the hero. And I think that kind of summed up how Terry Sanford performed offensively. I think the most telling statistic about this game that stands out to me is they lose this game by 10 points, but they attempted 22 more field goals than Northern Guilford. So that shooting percentage just really kind of buried them, but they had the opportunities were there. But like you said, 2 years ago, they were in this game against West Rowan, and we kind of looked at this Terry Sanford team. We're like, okay, this is a really young team. It's got a lot of freshmen and sophomores. At some point in the next 2 or 3 years, they're going to have a state championship. And they were facing that West Rowan team that was really experienced and had a lot of seniors. And in that fourth quarter, like Emma Clark kind of took over for West Rowan and ends up winning that state championship for them at the 3A level. And you kind of thought like, okay, but Terry Sanford's bringing everybody back next year. And they kind of fall short here in the regional final to Western Alamance, who goes on and wins it all with a senior heavy team. And so now you're like, okay, well, everybody's still, with the exception of Brianna Rofe, everybody's back again next year. So, like, they're going to get it. And I think that actually factored in a little bit to us making our choice, our selections for this game.
Yeah, we thought they were due.
How many times are you going to keep knocking on the door before you break through? And so, Jada Blake played really, really well in this one for Terry Sanford. She's going to be back again next.
Through some pain, too. She had gone down at one point.
Yep. And so, she's going to continue to be the leader of this program next year as a senior and get one more crack at it. But honestly, Lena McField and Aaliyah Settle were so good all year long for Northern Guilford. Getting Settle in as a freshman just completely changed the dynamic of this team. Lena McField, obviously, one of the most prolific scorers in Guilford County girls basketball history, and obviously at Northern Guilford, which is a very storied program. One of the things I kind of pointed out during the game that I thought was cool was, first seat behind the bench, front row, the biggest cheerleader and fan for the Nighthawks was Kim Furlow, who retired a couple years ago with a couple state championships for Northern Guilford. She really built up this program, and Coach Evans was with her for those runs. Now he is the one who gets to lead this next era of Northern Guilford girls basketball into a title. The year after Furlow is when, Lena McField is a freshman. What a transition there.
Yeah.
And she really kind of makes her mark and adds that, missing piece from the mantle, which was a state championship.
Yeah, I got to tell you, this is one of those matchups where I would not be surprised to see it again next year. Just the three girls that Northern Guilford brought up to the press conference, it's two juniors and a freshman.
Yep.
Right. So McField's a junior, and Anaya Pearley had a really good game.
She
14
stepped up
points.
huge. Yep.
She had those plays where it's just like the right moment, right? You know, where they need something. She just kind of came through time and time again tonight. Just timely stuff from her. And yeah, it's got to be scary, you know, to the rest of 6A that, you know, their 3 best players are all going to be back next year. And Aaliyah Settle, I can only imagine what kind of jump she could make from freshman to sophomore year. That's usually one of the biggest jumps that you see in high schools from freshman to sophomore. She's already so advanced, so it's kind of scary what she could be looking like with more experience under her belt.
Yeah, I remember seeing this Northern Guilford team over the summer and seeing Settle and being like, whoa, okay, that team's different. And then, you know, as you mentioned, like they had some X factors tonight step up and add some, you know, plays that really helped cement that state title for them. Again, 62-52, Northern Guilford defeats Terry Sanford in the 6A girls state championship game. The afternoon, though, started with Queens Grant, a team that we saw last year make it to the 1A regional final against Corvian Community. Queens Grant left no doubt in the 2A boys state championship facing off against Warren County. Warren County was an 8 seed. Queens Grant was playing, I think you noted it earlier today, their 38th game of the season, and it's because they don't have football, so the NCHSAA rules allow them to get a little bit of a head start on everybody else, but they pick up a huge 77-43 win. The final 3 minutes, they had triggered a running clock in that one, which was nothing compared to Cherokee, who played the whole second half on one. But Queens Grant runs away with this 2A title. It's their first state championship in school history for any sport. Chase Smith, Makai Allen, just the entire front court. Queens Grant dominated the paint, Joel.
Yeah, Chase Smith, the 6'8" sophomore big man. At halftime, he had more points than Warren County. He had 22 points at halftime. Warren County had 20 points at halftime. That just tells you everything about this game. And you know, people will talk about, you know, Queens Grant has they'll say Queens Grant has a lot of things that help them out. But one thing I found interesting throughout this whole kind of season was I've learned that they don't have a gym at their school. They're just having a gym being built, and it's going to be done before next season. So the first thing that gets to go in that gym is going to be a state championship banner, which is really interesting. I can't even imagine the logistical hurdles of not having your own gym at your school. So that is one thing that they have overcame, and I think that's something people can respect for sure out of them. Yeah, another team where they're very young and very successful. So Makai Allen is another sophomore along with Chase Smith. He was amazing in the regional final last week. He made our all-regional team, first team, 21 points again tonight. Those two guys, in terms of sophomore duos, it's going to be hard to have another duo in the state in that class that's going to be as talented as those two, I think.
And just to kind of put into perspective how good this Queens Grant team is, the West Charlotte team that we saw win that thrilling game last night,
the 8A state championship.
Yes, the 8A state champions lost to Queens Grant this year. The Queens Grant, the Stallions, they pulled down 17 offensive boards this afternoon. And then of their 77 points, Joel, 68 of them came in the paint. That definitely stands out for Coach Joe Badgett, who now has a public school and a private school state championship to his name. He was coaching at Carmel Christian, comes over a couple seasons ago, and has built up this Queens Grant program.
Well, the other thing I found interesting, he said in the press conference today that he actually started the basketball program at Queens Grant 15 years ago. Yep. Then he had left to go to private school and then came back. So it's kind of a full circle moment for him. I thought that would be really cool.
Another good story here before we kind of go and look at tomorrow's slate, Warren County. Making it to this game for that program, it felt like the whole county was out here this afternoon supporting them, even when they were down and there was a running clock. If they would get a defensive stop or a steal or they would score a basket, everybody would rise to their feet and go nuts. The band was going crazy. The cheerleaders were into it. It means a lot to this program. Yeah. They were very emotional winning the regional final, knowing that they were going to get to go here. And I think the 8 classifications, in a way, gives a program like a Warren County a lot of hope, because they get a football regional runner-up finish, and then, you know, a couple months later, here they are, they're now state runner-ups. And again, this is a program where Coach said last week in the regional final, like, there's not a lot of opportunities for kids in Warrenton to get the chance to play for a state, you know, to play athletics that matter. And here they are getting that opportunity. Here they are now in this 2A final. So, you know, Warren County falling short, but you got to be proud if you're from Warrenton, you're from that area, just to be able to see this team play on this stage.
And they also did it with 9 players. That was their whole
Yep.
kind of this year, the chosen 9. That's really hard to.
It didn't start at 9. It started at 13, and they lost 4 guys, and they said this is what we got, and they turned it into a state championship runner-up run.
To just have 4 guys available to you off the bench and go through an entire region in the playoffs and get to a state championship, very impressive.
So those are your 4 state champions from today. Queens Grant's boys win the 2A, Cherokee's girls win the 2A, and then in 6A it's Northern Guilford's girls, and then it's Northern Nash's boys. Let's take a quick look at some of the matchups for tomorrow. Joel, it's going to get really good here as we get into the weekend. Let's take a quick look at the games that we have tomorrow starting at noon. It's going to be the 3A girls state championship between East Surrey and Goldsboro. I imagine we're going to get some good crowds from that. After that, it'll be Maiden and Fairmont in the 4A girls state championship at 2:30. And then buckle up here. We got 3A boys at 5 o'clock. That's going to be Walkertown, who is 10 minutes down the road from here, going up against the most storied basketball program in our state, Kinston. That's going to be at 5 o'clock tomorrow. And then the capper at 7:30, Salisbury, Reedsville. 5 straight years that they've met in the playoffs. Reedsville has won every single time, and the Rams are going for their 3rd straight state championship, and they're looking to send Deontay Neal, who is the newest hot recruit on the market. They're looking to send him out as one of the most decorated individual athletes in state history.
Yeah, I think a lot of things are lining up for tomorrow to be probably the most attended day so far of this week, between it being Friday and then a lot of those triad schools. I think East Surrey is going to bring people. Reedsville, of course, is going to bring people. And, of course, Walkertown being just down the road, they're going to bring people. And Maiden, not too far either. Probably just, an hour or so drive from Maiden. Probably a little longer than that. I'm probably misrepresenting my time there. But still, they're going to have a crowd. Games are going to be interesting. The Reedsville-Salisbury game, I'm very curious to see how Salisbury comes out of that one. When you win a game like they won last week in the Western Regional Final on that half-court buzzer beater, it's just so hard to match the emotional, climax you get from a moment like that. I mean, very curious to see how they come out in that game. The other games, I think, is going to be an interesting clash of styles in these other games too. It's going to be interesting to see just which style kind of prevails.
Yeah, and also on the Reedsville side, we talk about Deontay Neal, but he didn't perform well last week in the regional final against Washington. Luckily, Paul Cawthon Jr. was there to save the day with 27 points, but Deontay was sick. He had the flu and was just visibly out of energy. And so hopefully that week off, we get the best version of him, because this is the last time that we're going to watch him play basketball.
Well, and the side note here, like this other arc going on here is with what happened with UNCG. Deontay was committed there. He decommitted. So this is his last chance to prove to a college, like, hey, you need to come get me last minute. And we're gonna get something special out of Deontay Neal tomorrow. I can already tell.
Yeah, I think the one thing I took away from his message that he put out last night was he's open to football and basketball. But I'm just gonna say this: if you're a regional college basketball team, Power 4, and some of those upper level mid majors, and you're no longer playing in your conference tournament, I think you're going to probably have a coach here tomorrow just to keep tabs on Deontay Neal. He's one of the state's all-time leading scorers. He's the state's all-time leader in assists, or top 2 in assists. He is going for what state championship? This would be his 5th state championship he's going for. Win. And I believe this is his 7th appearance in 8 tries. This is his 7th state championship appearance.
So it would be the 3rd basketball championship and 2nd football.
He got 2 football. So this would be his 5th. So a little bit of history if Regional's able to pull that off tomorrow. But again, with 4 games coming your way, beginning with the 3A girls state championship at noon, the 4A girls state championship at 2:30. Then you have 3A boys at 5 and 4A boys at 7:30. We'll have all of the coverage from that one on High School OT. If you want to see highlights, if you want to listen to press conferences, view some photos, and read all of the stories from today's action, you can do that by visiting HighSchoolOT.com. All of that is up there, including the 4 games that were played yesterday on Wednesday. So you can take a look at all of that. Look at what's coming up the next couple of days. We're halfway home on these state championships, But for Evan West and Joel Bryant, we're going to sign off here from Lawrence Joel Veterans Memorial Coliseum. You've been watching the High School OT postgame show presented by Alpaca Peruvian Chicken.
Alpaca Peruvian Chicken is great at office lunches, team lunches, tailgating, and football games. Place your next catering order at Alpaca so you and your friends can enjoy the best rotisserie chicken in the area. Taste their legendary flavor and homemade pride at 18 locations across the Triangle, Fayetteville, Mebane, Wilmington, Sanford, and now Wilson. Alpaca Peruvian Chicken, home of North Carolina's favorite chicken and a proud supporter of high school OT and teams across the state.
Get the Triangle sports leader anytime, anywhere with the new app from 99.9 The Fan. If it's live on The Fan, you can listen on the app. Plus, all your favorite podcasts at your fingertips. Download the 99.9 The Fan app today.
Your child pours their heart and soul into their dreams.
You're so ready for this.
But underage drinking can stop a young mind and body from performing at its best.
Okay, everyone, it's time.
We're ready.
Make sure your star keeps shining. Start the conversation about the dangers of alcohol with tips at talkitoutnc.org.